The troops of Shi Kingdom, under the compulsion of the power of the world, had previously fallen into the wilderness in utter panic, devoid of any resistance. But when they heard Luo Feng's voice between heaven and earth, they breathed a sigh of relief. This terrifying existence Luo He is indeed most merciful and didn't vent his anger on us eternal true gods. If he had been more ruthless, perhaps a single thought might have annihilated us all. The eternal true gods of the Shi Kingdom's troops were rather grateful. Godly King Luo He is truly merciful. He didn't involve us. The many cultivators at the primal chaos realm of Shi Kingdom also experienced a bout of terror. Although they all had some resurrection carriers, the complete annihilation of their true bodies and the loss of treasures would still be heartbreaking. Under normal circumstances, a godly king would not bully the weaker. But during a war between two countries, the methods of a godly king would be much more merciless and cruel. Some godly kings would carry out indiscriminate slaughter. For example, during their conquest of enemy countries, the Emperor of Tian Kun from Shi Kingdom would completely flatten the enemy king's territories, leaving no creature alive in the royal capitals. Others used the wars as an excuse to vent and devour numerous cities. Still others, like the ancestral god of the snow realm, would often instigate massive crimes even in times of peace. Therefore, for these weaker ones during a war between two countries, Luo Feng did not take his wrath out on the weak. He was definitely one of the most merciful among the godly kings. Godly King Luo He has given us one day to leave quickly. The war has escalated now, it's beyond our ability to intervene. One by one, the cultivators at the primal chaos realm took initiative to withdraw their troops and quickly made their way. With just the troops, escaping from the boundaries of Yu Kingdom in one day would indeed be difficult. But with a primal chaos realm cultivator leading the escape, the speed was much faster. Luo Feng's power of the world enveloped 12 primal chaos prefectures, creating a huge commotion that was noticed by all the powerful beings of the land of origin. Has Luo He, who has just become a godly king, managed to control the range of 12 primal chaos prefectures? Noted the godly kings of Flame Wind ancient country, and even a few emperors were paying attention. Considering the scope of his power of the world, it's undoubtedly reached the invincible level of the first realm of a godly king. Without any external help, reaching the invincible status in the first realm of a godly king is indeed possible for a few in the current era. But to achieve this step right after becoming a godly king, in the history of the land of origin, Luo He should be the third one. The first one was Earth God King, the second was Emperor Qing, and now the third is Luo He. Although Earth God King is at the second realm of godly king, he is capable of fighting beyond his level with emperors and monarchs, even surviving being surrounded and attacked by multiple monarchs of Thunder ancient country and still remains unconstrained to this day. No need to mention Emperor Qing. The potential of Luo He is terrifying. The godly kings of Flame Wind ancient country who mostly haven't cultivated the primordial bloodline, are still very clear-headed and rational, knowing that it's better to form an alliance with Luo He rather than making an enemy of him. Another powerful loner cultivator has emerged, since the godly kings of Thunder ancient country, noting the situation in Yu Kingdom from afar. The ancestral gods are too merciful. If the two ancestral gods had joined forces, they could completely monopolize all the resources of the land of origin. These loner cultivators wouldn't even have the chance to grow. If Luo He were part of the imperial clan he might have the potential to reach the ultimate realm. But as a loner cultivator, he's probably just another Earth God King at best. The godly kings of Thunder ancient country chatted casually, not really concerned. In terms of peak-level combat power, the two great imperial clans hold an absolute advantage. Luo Feng's talent and potential at most make the godly kings of Thunder ancient country take notice. On the land of origin, there are not many powerful beings that can attract their attention, but Luo Feng is now one of them. Last time I invited him to enter my Two Realms palace, he didn't accept. No rush, he will feel the pressure of the two great imperial clans. In a regular city tavern, a man drinking smiled as he looked in the direction of Yu Kingdom, his aura completely ordinary, such that even emperors and monarchs would not notice anything special about him. Shadow Sky Realm. Sitting cross-legged inside a pavilion, a figure with long hair, whose power permeated the outside world, also sensed the overwhelming power of the world covering 12 primal chaos prefectures in Yu Kingdom. Luo He is gradually revealing his brilliance, murmured the long-haired figure. Luo Feng had once killed an envoy of the Shadow Sky Realm, and rather than being angry the Lord of the Shadow Sky Realm was pleased. To possess the strength of the invincible first realm of a godly king right after achieving godhood. Even I, when I first became a godly king, took over 1,000 years to reach the invincible strength of the first realm of a godly king without external help. Luo He's talent is truly terrifying. The more terrifying the better. The powerful among us loner cultivators are still too weak, looked the long-haired figure towards Luo He. Luo He is still very weak, currently only at the threshold of an overlord level. He was pleased with Luo Feng's growth, yet he knew that Luo Feng was not yet at a level to interfere in their conflicts. Being invincible in the first realm of a godly king signifies one as an overlord of the land of origin, yet this is just the baseline for overlords. Like the Emperor of Tian Kun who is in the second realm of a godly king and also cultivates the primordial bloodline, he is a proper overlord of one side, far more intimidating than Luo He. Shi Kingdom's capital, inside the royal palace. Luo He actually dares to intervene in a war between two nations? Wu Xiang, the old ancestor, was furiously shocked as he gazed into the distance towards the horizon. Luo Feng's massive face covered more than 10 primal chaos prefectures. Even from within the Shi Kingdom's capital, he could still be seen clearly, thanks to the strength of a godly king. The 4 godly kings gazed from afar, shocked and pressured. The power that enveloped more than a dozen primal chaos prefectures already proved one point. Luo Feng's strength had indeed reached the overlord level. Big brother, he has driven out our dispatched Shi Kingdom troops. Wu Xiang, the old ancestor, urgently asked, how should we respond? If we endure this, I'm afraid it would become a joke throughout the land of origin. Sitting there, the Emperor of Tian Kun looked at the vast face in the sky and indifferently said, endure? This plan was devised by myself and some friends. Luo he alone cannot stop it. The 4 godly kings all breathed a sigh of relief upon hearing this. Big brother, what should we do next? The Demon Blade godly king asked. He is Emperor Qing's direct disciple. We still have to give him some face, the Emperor of Tian Kun calmly said. Skull Peak, you excel in the clone technique. Send an avatar to meet Luo he. Tell Luo he to retreat quickly and I can pretend nothing happened. If he continues to interfere with this matter, hinder us. I will make sure he pays a severe price and deeply regrets it. Yes, the Skull Peak godly king responded. Among all 5 godly kings of Shi Kingdom, only Skull Peak godly king excelled in the clone technique. Exactly because of the clone technique, he had been invited by the Emperor of Tian Kun to join them, as many matters suited the Skull Peak godly king to handle. This war, is it the will of the monarch and several godly kings at the second realm that should be informed to Luo he? Skull Peak godly king asked. Inform him, the Emperor of Tian Kun indifferently said. To prevent him from acting foolishly. Yes, the confidence of Skull Peak godly king grew even stronger. The face of Luo Feng that enveloped more than 10 primal chaos prefectures, gazed towards the direction of the Shi Kingdom's capital. The noise he made with his intervention made various forces across the land of origin take notice. The godly kings of Shi Kingdom were definitely aware of it. Here it comes. Luo Feng sensed an apparition appearing in the wilderness, a golden skeletal figure that looked at Luo Feng with a smile. Skull Peak godly king? Luo Feng recognized the other party. Skull Peak godly king also practiced the great Tao of life origin, but his strength was far less than that of the ancestral god of the snow realm, let alone Luo Feng. Yet he could still condense many skeletal avatars. The great Tao of life origin was just like that. Although inferior in combat, it was much stronger in terms of survival. Luo he, godly king, Skull Peak godly king stood before Luo Feng, still very humble and smilingly said, I do not know what promise the Monarch of Yu country has given you, but I must clarify that the original intent of this war between 2 nations is not to annihilate Yu Kingdom. Behind this war is the decision of my monarch, the Emperor of Tian Kun, and several godly kings at the second realm. If you obstruct, you would offend not just my monarch but also several others of the same level, Skull Peak godly king said. I have come here also hoping that Luo he, godly king, can understand the key point and withdraw early. My monarch will not pursue it further. Luo he, godly king, and our Shi Kingdom can still be friends. Not pursue it further? Luo Feng said, the Emperor of Tian Kun is indeed quite magnanimous. My monarch loves to make friends and likes to make friends with someone like Luo he, godly king, Skull Peak godly king said. Unfortunately, the Monarch of Yushui is my good friend, Luo Feng looking down from above leisurely said. I have already promised the Monarch of Yushui, and naturally I won't break my word, betray a good friend. Upon hearing this, Skull Peak godly king felt uneasy. This time the entire Shi Kingdom troops will withdraw, and I can represent Yu Kingdom in not pursuing this invasion. Luo Feng looked down, thus resolving this war. You won't pursue it? Skull Peak godly king couldn't help saying, didn't Luo he, godly king, understand? This is a joint decision made by my monarch and several friends. Are you sure you truly want to block it? I have promised the Monarch of Yushui, I must see it through, Luo Feng said looking down. Go back and tell the Emperor of Tian Kun, Yu Kingdom, I have secured it. Don't force me to act. Luo he, godly king, I am kindly reminding you, yet you still refuse to repent, Skull Peak godly king warned. I can tell you if you persist alone, you will pay a heavy price. Then you will deeply regret it. You also tell the Emperor of Tian Kun, the moment he acts, he will also have to pay a severe price. Luo Feng coldly said. Explore stories on Empire. Very well, Skull Peak godly king said. There's no need for this avatar to leave. Luo Feng gave him a cold look. The terrifying power of the world instantly converged, focusing on this avatar of Skull Peak godly king, instantly crushing it to dust. Crushing a godly king's avatar represented Luo Feng's attitude. Far in the Shi Kingdom's capital, the Emperor of Tian Kun, who had been closely watching the whole negotiation process, felt his face grow utterly cold as Luo Feng crushed that avatar of Skull Peak godly king. In the first realm of godly king, almost reaching the threshold of a region's overlord, yet daring to be so arrogant, the Emperor of Tian Kun stood up as the earth seemed to tremble. I will let him know what price he has to pay for ignoring my goodwill and still choosing to offend me. Boom. The Emperor of Tian Kun instantly disappeared. The moment the golden light emitted from the forehead of the Emperor of Tian Kun, Luo Feng was too late to block and was instantly affected. Pooh. The golden light struck Luo Feng's chest in an instant. Luo Feng only felt his body rumble, the golden light merging instantly into his body, wantonly and wildly destroying everything. The fundamental structure of his world life form was constantly being annihilated. Although it was being annihilated, it was also struggling to recover. But the destructiveness was too terrible, and it soon completely annihilated the vitality of the fundamental matter. Hiss hiss hiss. The majestic, towering, silver-clad figure of Luo Feng showed countless golden patterns emerging on its surface, eroding and annihilating his body even as he continued to regenerate it. My great extinction golden light, formed from the concentration of primordial bloodline, clearly has the upper hand. But his body is like a world, containing too vast an energy. The Emperor of Tian Kun realized the tenacity of Luo He. Godly kings could easily reach heights equal to heaven and earth. So from the surface, it was difficult to clearly judge just how vast the energy reserves in this avatar of Luo Feng were. Emperor Chu, as a life form that had reached the ultimate realm, had much sharper senses. The senses of the Emperor of Tian Kun were much inferior, only able to judge accurately through combat. One great extinction golden light can only destroy about 1% of his body. The Emperor of Tian Kun felt a chill in his heart, but I can at most emit 10 great extinction golden lights if I exhaust myself. Although he still had several killing moves, the Emperor of Tian Kun could deduce that he was unable to annihilate this body. Those who cultivate the great Tao of life origin, though their life force is tenacious, typically evade and use avatars to preserve their lives in my presence. Few dare to resist my moves head-on. The Emperor of Tian Kun reflected. But this Luo he dares to resist my moves. I can feel that his physical body, apart from containing many mysteries of the great Tao of life, also contains the mysteries of the origin Tao of matter, making it so tough and difficult to annihilate. The Emperor of Tian Kun, being a practitioner of the origin Tao of matter himself, could even more certainly recognize this. Emperor of Tian Kun, do you have even more powerful moves? Luo Feng, in his towering silver attire with its numerous golden patterns still eroding him, bore it calmly and fearlessly. This Luo he is merely relying on having a sufficiently massive life form to withstand the attack. The Emperor of Tian Kun also had experience dealing with such massive life forms. The larger the life form, the greater the strain on the soul and spiritual will. Being barely able to manipulate it was already good. It simply couldn't employ subtle techniques. Luo he. The Emperor of Tian Kun looked at Luo Feng. This clumsy body is what you rely on? I will now flatten your Huyang city and I want to see if you can stop me. Whoosh. The Emperor of Tian Kun moved, appearing enormously vast yet astonishingly fast, traveling between heaven and earth, heading straight for Huyang city. He intended to exploit his advantage in the finesse of his moves, making Luo Feng pay the price. Flatten Huyang city? Luo Feng's face turned cold. Whoosh. With a step, Luo Feng merged into the world and instantly appeared right in front of the Emperor of Tian Kun. Cut. Luo Feng raised his right hand high, despite the golden light eroding his body. Power converged in his right hand, a terrifying aura of life and death gathering in his palm. Using his hand as a blade. Slash. Luo Feng's right hand chopped down, the vast power contained within the world life form fully concentrated within this blade light, which while highly concentrated, also embodied the eerie essence of cutting off all vitality. The Emperor of Tian Kun had not expected that Luo He, even in such a massive life form, could still execute such a subtle technique. He didn't know that, managing to wield 1,000th of the energy reserves in an avatar, Luo Feng could perform his most intricate techniques. If the avatar managed even more, growing larger, the techniques he could use would only become cruder. Were he to deploy the true body of the world life form, every movement would be incredibly cumbersome. But at this moment the technique Luo Feng was using was one of his killing moves that merged life and death, life cutting. The blade light traveled in darkness, seemingly non-existent in reality, and in an instant had already cleaved deep into the body of the Emperor of Tian Kun, slicing in silently. Luo Feng stood at a distance, the golden lines on his body slowly fading, the great extinction golden light gradually exhausting itself. Emperor of Tian Kun, how was that move? Luo Feng looked at the other. Luo Feng's power of the world enveloped a total of 12 primal chaos prefectures. When the Emperor of Tian Kun's body intended to enter this range, Luo Feng naturally detected it and instinctively repelled and squeezed the other. Buzz, the dense power of the world compressed against the Emperor of Tian Kun, forcing him to reveal his form. An incredibly vast body appeared between heaven and earth. It had a pair of wings, each of unimaginable size, and a mouth as big as 1/3 of its body size. Blood-red eyes filled with murderous intent, a thick scale-armored tail stretched across heaven and earth. When its wings were spread, they were 300 trillion kilometers in length. The thickness of its body alone was 50 to 60 trillion kilometers. This was already its smallest possible size, for if it grew any bigger, even the heavens and earth would seem too small. Primordial bloodline, Luo Feng observed this scene. The potential of the primordial bloodline was extremely high, even capable of escaping from the braided cage world. As a second-realm godly king, the Emperor of Tian Kun had deeply tapped into the potential of the primordial bloodline. This immense bodily prowess, although not comparable to the emperors and monarchs, already had a similar essence. The giant face enveloping 12 primal chaos prefectures vanished, and a figure in silver stood in front of that colossal creature. Luo He, some actions come with a price. The colossal creature spoke, its voice causing the vast boundless heaven and earth to tremble. Let's see what you can do, whether it's me who pays the price or you, Luo Feng calmly observed him. He admitted that the true body of the Emperor of Tian Kun was more domineering and strong than his world life form. While they conversed, several ancient beings from afar were already watching the battle. Powerful beings from within their cave mansions could watch from afar. The weaker ones moved closer to the borders of Shi Kingdom and Yu country. A confrontation between two overlords, the godly king from Bolu also arrived at Yu country to get a clearer view of the battle. Luo he is still too confident. After all, he has only reached the threshold of the overlord level. The Emperor of Tian Kun, on the other hand, has deep accumulations. This battle, Luo he might suffer a significant defeat. Luo Feng, the mountain-sitting guest, had also arrived from Thunder Ancient Country to the border of Shi Kingdom and Yu country, watching from a distance. His power was somewhat weaker. In Thunder Ancient Country he did not perceive Luo Feng's power of the world covering 12 primal chaos prefectures, but he kept up with the news about Luo Feng, so he was also aware of Luo Feng's fallout with Shi Kingdom. Becoming a godly king and acting hastily, why so rushed? The mountain-sitting guest thought. After all, the Emperor of Tian Kun is at the second realm of a godly king. Luo Feng, if you broke through to the second realm, there would be no hurry to act. The mountain-sitting guest was very patient. He had waited such a long time, even thousands of years more wouldn't matter to him. Luo Feng might suffer a bit, but there's no danger to his life, the mountain-sitting guest reassured himself, intently watching the battle. The two ancient countries and many ancient existences were all focused on this battle. After all, there were only so many overlords in the whole land of origin, and a fight between two overlords was indeed rare. Haha, you really are confident. The huge body of the Emperor of Tian Kun spoke, then it opened its gigantic mouth. This mouth made up 1/3 of its body size. Inside were dense, crisscrossing sharp teeth, followed by a terrifying roar. Roar! Black winds flew out of that gigantic mouth, instantly sweeping through heaven and earth. Hidden within those black winds were traces of gray currents, which even slightly startled Luo Feng. Is this the annihilation wind of the Emperor of Tian Kun? Luo Feng had already collected detailed intelligence on the Emperor of Tian Kun and knew that once this annihilation wind was unleashed, it would destroy heavens and obliterate the earth, posing a great threat even to beings in the second realm of godly king. I shall see. Luo Feng's figure instantly enlarged, his feet planted on the ground, his head nearly touching the starry sky. Dressed in silver, Luo Feng stood still, the silver robe over his body naturally spread out, transforming into a silver canopy, actively intercepting the terrifying black wind. Hiss! The annihilation wind, derived by the Emperor of Tian Kun from his mastery of the origin Tao of matter channeled through his primordial bloodline, had a corrosive and destructive nature. The moment it touched the silver canopy, though the canopy was resilient and filled with endless vitality, it still ended up with large holes eroded through it. Huff huff. The annihilation wind, eroding and shattering the silver canopy, continued blowing towards Luo Feng. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Although the silver robe was eroded, it naturally regenerated from nothingness, intercepting again and again, only to be blown into non-existence repeatedly. From the looks of it, the annihilation wind appeared more dominant. Yet, the silver robe spread out, filled with endless vitality, and was able to regenerate again and again. Besides, Luo Feng himself continually provided energy, resisting the annihilation wind. Finally, Luo Feng's robe, now perforated throughout, saw the annihilation wind finally exhausted. Ichim? Just a robe blocked my annihilation wind? The Emperor of Tian Kun, who made his first move, realized that his opponent was tough, his physical body and robe, both crafted from secret techniques. Extremely tough, and the vitality is exceedingly rich. The characteristic of practitioners of the great Tao of life origin is that they are very hard to completely annihilate. It seems as though they are destroyed, yet they can recover from nothingness. Emperor Chu, a destroyer of ultimate realm life forms, believed it would take 2 to 3 attacks to completely eliminate Luo Feng's avatar. It shows the tenacity of his vitality. Luo he, I just blew a breath, and your robe is already tattered, the Emperor of Tian Kun's voice echoed through heaven and earth. Luo Feng's tattered robe naturally repaired itself, returning to its pristine condition. The annihilation wind of the Emperor of Tian Kun is indeed quite powerful, Luo Feng praised. I wonder, do you have even more formidable moves? Let me test them? Then I shall satisfy you. The Emperor of Tian Kun's blood-red eyes grew fiercer, and on his massive forehead a dazzling golden light suddenly gathered, shocking all onlookers the moment the light condensed. The Great Extinction Golden Light. The killing move of the Emperor of Tian Kun. Being a greatly seasoned second realm godly king, the moves of the Emperor of Tian Kun were well known to the outside world. The annihilation wind was just a common technique, but the Great Extinction Golden Light was the true killing move, one that even posed a threat to emperors and monarchs. The Emperor of Tian Kun is going all out from the start, observed the mountain-sitting guest with some unease. This Great Extinction Golden Light, harnessing the might of the primordial bloodline, wreaks terrible destruction upon matter, enough to command respect from an emperor level. The divine power incarnation of the Emperor of Yushui also watched nervously. Luo he was acting on his behalf this time. Discover hidden stories at Empire. The reputation of the Great Extinction Golden Light was well established. Emperor Tian Kun's massive body had a wound appear, with the scale armor around it turning gray and lifeless. Soon this scale armor and flesh turned to ashes and vanished. However, for the enormous body of Emperor Tian Kun, the loss of this bit of flesh and scale armor was negligible. In the blink of an eye, new flesh and scales grew back. How is this possible? Emperor Tian Kun could hardly believe it. His body is like a world even more vibrant than mine. I am in the second realm of godly king, and I need to cultivate the primordial bloodline to manipulate such a physical body. Moreover, I have to suffer from the contamination of the bloodline will. Yet he uses no external force, manipulates such a body, and can execute intricate maneuvers? How does he achieve that? If a massively built body had clumsy moves, its threat would be too low. Emperor Tian Kun could toy with it at will. His moves, Luo Feng didn't even have time to stop. Luo Feng's clumsy maneuvers, he could easily stop them all. He would have the absolute initiative. But now, Luo Feng could even effortlessly blend into the heavens and earth, teleporting and appearing everywhere nearby. With such swift attacks, Emperor Tian Kun couldn't intercept them in time. This isn't a maneuver of the Great Tao of Life origin. The moves of the Great Tao of Life origin aren't so devious and unpredictable. Nor from the origin Tao of matter. Emperor Tian Kun looked at Luo Feng. He has also mastered a third Great Tao. That blade light just now moved through the darkness, as if it didn't exist in reality. By the time it struck, he had already been hit. The speed of this move was utterly unblockable. Is it somewhat like the path of causality? Or destruction? Or something else? Emperor Tian Kun had many doubts, but he couldn't be sure of anything. However, he did understand one thing. Luo he was much more troublesome than anticipated. How is this possible? To manipulate such a massive physical body without external aid and still execute such exquisite maneuvers? A number of ancient beings with profound strength on the land of origin found it incredible. This defied common sense. Of course, theoretically it was possible. Could it be that his spiritual will has surpassed the ultimate realm of godly king? To manipulate such a body and still do it with ease? Or does he also cultivate the soul path? Is his soul incredibly powerful? Is he a reincarnated old fellow whose realm far exceeds the first realm of godly king, making such maneuvers easy for him? Various speculations came to mind. These were all possibilities. The land of origin had hidden dragons and crouching tigers over the long years, and it wasn't the first time some incredibly astonishing new godly king, after enough strength was accumulated, or after their signature moves were exposed, was confirmed to be an old fellow reincarnated. I've been watching Luo Feng grow up, and his small universe is unprecedented in the history of the land of origin. There hasn't been an old fellow who's reached this level, said mountain-sitting guest who was watching nervously, now excited. Luo Feng, he's reached this point on his own strength. He has been on the land of origin for just over a century. Mountain-sitting guest was well aware of how stunning his disciple was. 100+ eras were enough to confront the overlords of the land of origin. Given another 1,000 eras, wouldn't he be confronting emperors and monarchs? Wonderful, 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 said Palu Godly King in amazement. Being invincible in the first realm of Godly King myself, I wouldn't dare confront Emperor Tian Kun head-on like that. First realm of Godly King, to be so powerful? Palu Godly King, also aware of special great inheritance, perfect inheritances, understood theoretically that the first realm of Godly King could be terrifyingly powerful, potentially even more fearsome than Luo Feng at present. But on this source world of the land of origin, Luo Feng's performance had already been very dazzling. After this battle, I must visit brother Luo He, said Palu Godly King, who had initiated a relationship with Luo Feng back when he was in the primal chaos realm. Now naturally he sought to deepen their ties, and I'll take Yun Gu with me. The massive Emperor Tian Kun looked at Luo Feng and spoke, Luo He, which old fellow's reincarnation are you? I'm not anyone's reincarnation, Luo Feng looked back at him. Even if you were, you wouldn't dare admit it, right? You reincarnated folks always carefully hide your identities, fearing it might attract enemies, Emperor Tian Kun sneered. I really want to see in front of me how much you can still hide. Many godly kings reincarnated, and often at critical moments, they used their signature moves from past lives, exposing their identities. Die. With a massive flap of his wings, Emperor Tian Kun's huge wings tremored. The pair of wings, flapping violently, made the skies seem to collapse. Boom. Within a vast range, all matter was obliterated, not just rocks and soil but also plants and trees, even the energy of heaven and earth was annihilated, along with the primal chaos current being destroyed and turned into the smallest particle streams. This strike also enveloped Luo Feng's body, covering a wide range, making it difficult for Luo Feng to avoid, and forcing him to resist with all his might. Boom. This endlessly terrifying force struck Luo Feng's body. Even though he resisted with his arms and tried to deflect the force, he still felt the overwhelming might spread through his body. As a world life form he felt the shock and cracks appeared in the world inside him. The sky-reaching wings of Emperor Tian Kun, Luo Feng knew a few of Emperor Tian Kun's lethal moves. If the Great Extinction Golden Light is an energy-based move. N/O/vel/b/forward/and.c//om. Sky-reaching wings is purely a power-based technique. Luo Feng, with his towering stature as tall as heaven and earth, was also blasted backward by more than 10 steps, each step stomping out trillions of kilometers in gigantic pits on the ground before he could barely stabilize himself. In terms of strength, this move of his is dozens of times stronger than mine. Luckily my world life form has extremely strong life force. Luo Feng felt a sense of weakness while withstanding the blow. Clearly countless basic life structures had been shattered, but they were restored in the blink of an eye. My body has the advantage in life force, but in terms of the explosive force, it's far less than that of the Emperor of Tian Kun. Luo Feng realized the gap between them. Boom. Suddenly Luo Feng's face changed. Boom. A flash of arc light, Luo Feng was suddenly cut in half from the waist, severed into two parts. The lethal move, sky-breaking tail. Luo Feng had long known about this killer move and had been on guard against it, yet he still couldn't fend it off. This move is the Emperor of Tian Kun's so-called unbreakable technique. In an instant, his gigantic scale-armored tail would burst forth, all the tremendous power of his entire massive body accumulating at the end of the tail, which then sweeps across the sky in an arc. Simple as it sounds, this move entails techniques of the origin Tao of matter, and even twisted time. Its execution was instantaneous as it swept across Luo Feng's body. The tail was extremely sharp, cutting through Luo Feng's body with ease. The massive head that composed 1/3 of the Emperor of Tian Kun's body, only now suddenly opened its mouth, and at this moment Luo Feng felt as if the heavens and the earth had darkened, surrounded by a sea of blood-red folds. I'm trapped in the world's stomach. Half of Luo Feng's bisected body ended up in different stomachs. The Emperor of Tian Kun's another deadly move, World Stomach, utilizes the mysteries of the material origin Tao in combination with the potential of the primordial bloodline physical body, creating several major bloodline techniques. Once the World Stomach is executed, it can swallow a vast expanse of the world into its stomach. This primordial bloodline body possesses multiple stomachs, capable of eroding, destroying, and digesting. Change. The two sections of Luo Feng's body, now in different stomachs, instantly transformed into two smaller versions of Luo Feng, each of considerably less strength. One-on-one, even though I can withstand some of his moves by relying on the world life form, once the real fight starts I'd be swallowed in an instant. Luo Feng recognized the disparity in strength. The surrounding blood-red folds, endless blood-red power eroding Luo Feng. The two smaller Luos, their silver robes corroded with many holes, their bodies also began showing many wounds, with Luo Feng's face getting battered and shredded. Many wounds were also being repaired. Destruction, repair, continuously ongoing. Luo He, this body of yours won't think of escaping now. The Emperor of Tian Kun's voice resonated within the stomach. Emperor of Tian Kun, your world stomach's eroding power is pretty mediocre. Its speed can't catch up with my natural recovery rate, Luo Feng retorted mockingly. Are you inviting me to reside permanently in your stomach? Indeed, the erosion's power lies in its relentless but its destructive ability is far less than other killer moves. During the erosion, every part of Luo Feng's body's energy, just like the origin of life, kept restoring itself. My world stomach is quite large, imprisoning you is very easy for me, the Emperor of Tian Kun declared. Well then, the energy of this avatar, I will gift it to you, the two smaller Luo Feng said with a slight smile. Boom, boom. Suddenly, countless secret patterns appeared on the surfaces of the two smaller Luo Fengs, their skin turning dark red, the very technique Luo Feng had mastered in merging life and death explosions. Red sky burst. Immediately following, they exploded violently, all their energy erupting in an instant. After all, it was the energy reserve of 1/1000th of a world life form's true body, exploding with the red sky burst technique. It violently impacted the Emperor of Tian Kun's stomach, blasting many holes in it. Pooh. Externally. The enormous Emperor of Tian Kun had just swallowed Luo Feng's bisected body. Soon, a violent energy reaction appeared at the abdominal area, many cracks forming on the surface scales. This blow was the most severe damage Luo Feng had inflicted on the Emperor of Tian Kun thus far in their battle. Can't swallow him anymore in the future. The Emperor of Tian Kun suffered this blow, feeling quite uncomfortable. To cultivate such a powerful physical body is not easy, to give it up just like that? The Emperor of Tian Kun was somewhat surprised, thinking Luo Feng's body must be carrying some secret treasures. Even without secret treasures, just to accumulate so much energy to cultivate such a strong body is not an easy task. Emperor of Tian Kun. A voice echoed through heaven and earth. The blood-colored eyes of the Emperor of Tian Kun also narrowed. He looked towards the direction of Huyang City from afar. At this moment, Huyang City had already seen the appearance of 10 figures soaring through the sky. 10 silver-robed Luo Fengs, each one's presence no less than before. The Emperor of Tian Kun is really formidable. One avatar is not his match, only 10 avatars together is my last resort. The 10 Luo Fengs looked toward the Emperor of Tian Kun. Discover hidden content at Empire. The scene before him chilled the Emperor of Tian Kun's heart. It also shocked the various beings currently watching the battle. Even those firmly on Luo Feng's side, the mountain-sitting guest and the Emperor of Yushui, were stunned as they watched the 10 figures appear above Huyang City. Thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe and turn on the notifications so you won't miss any of our upcoming great videos.